Hello guys, welcome to a new video on Tower of God New World, and in this video I'm going to do the character review of regular Yuri. I'm going to go over the usual points. I'm going to talk about how good this unit is, the skills, equipment, gear, ignition weapon, rapport, revolution, and the showcase. And well, I will get started immediately by talking about how good this unit is, and I will say she's really good. Her DPS is one of the highest in the game, and most of it, if not all of it, comes from the special move. The amount of investment you will need is a bit high, but I mean, in terms of Revolution, Subnut's investment is less than I first thought, and we're going to talk about that when we get to Revolution. But in general, she will need quite a few dupes. She can work before then, but at the point the build you want to run is slightly different. She's really reliant on the kind of team composition that you're using, but this is not a huge minus right now since we have Anak as a new unit. This eased a little bit the use condition of this unit. Before, she was really tricky, like you had to make her survive for multiple special moves, and it was a bit annoying. Now it's a lot easier, so I think this unit got a bit more valuable also for free-to-play players, kind of. I wouldn't necessarily use her before 3 red, but you can make use of her already 3 green if you really want to. The kind of build you will have to run, we're going to talk about it in the ignition weapon section of this video. So for now, just know that she is a really awesome DPS unit. As a Rihanna unit, and I will say just in general, Rihanna units kind of lose a bit of value due to the fact that not always you can assassinate the highest attack enemy. Might be like a data machine that's invincible or some other unit, or just in general, if the deficit is too high, your damage won't be enough to kill them. So you cannot really rely anymore on Rihanna units in adventure. For PvP, that's obviously a different thing, but for adventure, the Rihanna portion of it cannot really be relied on as much. So this is going to make building her actually a lot cheaper because you can easily forego the first hit and just rely on the special move itself. And yeah, that's pretty much the first introduction, and just to tell you guys how good this unit is. Now we can just have a quick look at the skills. And the passive is one of the most important pieces of her kit. And the first part is just the Rihanna mechanic, let's say. So she's going to leap to the enemy with the highest attack at the start of the battle, dealing 620% of her attack as damage. To nearby enemies, the AoE is not that massive. Usually you're only going to hit one enemy, and knocking them down for 2 seconds. Pretty good. Then we have some other parts to her passive. And the second part is that Yuri is only going to target the enemy with the highest attack, and she's immune to command and provoke. Command are skills like Shibisu, special move that tells you who you should attack basically, and also support Warion has a similar mechanic. She's going to ignore them and just focus on the highest attack enemy. Then she's also immune to provokes, so if the enemy Karaka is provoking her, it won't work, so that's really good. She's just stupid and dead set on killing the highest attack enemy, which is great. And if she's provoked, she's going to create a field of rose protection, which is the next active skill, and we're going to look at that later. She has 2 more parts to her passive. The first one is that she's immune to attack decreases, and whenever she's afflicted by one of those, she's going to get an attack increase instead, which is pretty good. And the same thing applies for swiftness. She's immune to swiftness decreases, and she's going to get more swiftness if the enemy tries to decrease her swiftness. Pretty good. I mean, this whole passive is really stacked, really good. If you look at the active skills, they are not as good. While the rose protection is okay, there is a first AoE attack that we don't really care about. And after that AoE attack, she's going to create a field of rose protection. That's the same thing that was mentioned in the passive. Max of 3 stacks, and it lasts for 20 seconds. This field is going to follow Child Yuri, it's not static, so that's pretty good. And the effect is just that she's going to recover 200% of her attack as HP back. That's it, just a 200% attack heal every second. and her lifesteal increases by 10% while Rose Protection is active. I would say pretty good, especially once we look at how her special move works. This will make a lot of sense. Just by itself is not going to be that important because she would normally be one-shotted, so you don't really care about the heals, but it's really important for the special move. Then we have the second active skill. This one I don't really like that much. She's just going to punch 3 times and jolt the enemy. If the enemy is not dead, she's punching 3 more times for an higher multiplier. And then if the target is still not dead, 4 more times for an even higher multiplier. And that's about it. With jolts every hit, and the final hit has a knockback. You won't really throw active skills around that much, so it doesn't really matter. The multipliers are pretty good, but you don't really care. You don't want her to cast active skills because while she does so, she is not invincible. So it's, I don't know. I don't really like this one that much, but whatever. It's okay. Now we can have a look at the key component of this unit, which is the special move. And she's going to provoke nearby enemies for 5 seconds while she is charging up. So she's doing nothing for 5 seconds, just taking punches from the enemies. And then she's going to deal 240% of her attack as crit hit damage. So it's a guaranteed crit 8 times. So the multiplier is already good, but nothing insane like we saw higher multipliers on other units. And is going to jolt with every hit, which is pretty annoying from my point of view. And the last hit knocked back the target for 2 seconds. Okay, now the range of this thing is not that massive, but if the enemies are close range and the provoke was successful, then it's okay. Otherwise, kind of tricky. But yeah, you will hopefully hit 2 or 3 enemies, at least with the first 1 or 2 special moves. The final knockback doesn't really matter. Now here there is an important additional component, and that is the attack coefficient of each hit increases by 50% of Yuri's damage taken while charging up. That's why healing is important, because she's going to take damage, and the more you heal, the more damage you can take, which is going to boost this portion here of the special move. And the attack coefficient increase is limited to 300% of Yuri attack, which means from 240% to 540%. Pretty good. There is also an increase in the exclusive equipment, and there is also an increase of the base coefficient in the exclusive equipment. So that's pretty good. The total number per hit is really, really insane. And now, obviously, is no wonder for anyone because this unit has been out for a long time. But while she's in the special move, she is invincible. She cannot, not invincible, she's immortal. She cannot go below 1 HP, which is why healing is important. She's stuck at 1 HP. Without healing, she wouldn't take any additional damage, which wouldn't really stack her passive. That's about it, I would say. And now we can have a look at the exclusive equipment, which is pretty simple and straightforward, so it won't take much time. And that is the first 2 levels will have the attack coefficient of each integrity hit, which is the special move, increased by 20% and 20%, so from 240 to 280. And then level 3 is the upper limit of integrity's additional damage increases by 200%, so from 300% to 500%, for a total of 780% per hit per 8 hits, which is absolutely insane, a shit ton of damage. And then level 4, integrity always lands. Pretty amazing. With all of this, you basically want to rely only on the special move, because as I said before, the Rihanna portion of it will work in PvP for sure, no problem, but in adventure won't really do much. And I'm also thinking of changing my ignition weapon to account for that, but we'll see. We'll talk about that later on, I would say. Then we have the gear. For the gear, the only important piece is this one, crit rate and crit damage. If you don't have a lot of investment, like if you don't have a Rainbow 5, I would say you can also invest in slot 4, and that's about it. You don't care about the accuracy because the special move is guaranteed to hit, so it doesn't really matter. And even if you're going Rihanna, she's guaranteed to hit thanks to Rihanna with the first hit, so it doesn't really matter. Accuracy is just not a problem. Evasion is almost an issue to have it, because at that point you might dodge the enemy attacks, which would lower how quickly you can scale your special move damage. So you want to get hit, and you don't care about having high accuracy, which is awesome. You only need crit rate and crit damage. If your Yuri is not Rainbow 5, go for slot 4 as well. That's pretty much it, I would say. And for the ignition weapon, this is where it gets a bit trickier, because, as I said, you can run for Rihanna for sure. And let me also go here to the right. Yes. You can run for Rihanna. The thing with Rihanna is that, as I said before, if the deficit is high, you're not going to kill enemies. This is going to be the set you want to run in PvP 100%, but in PvE, I would probably say 2 Rihanna, 2 Upgrund is better, since the special move always crits. You want the additional crit damage, and I would say that's the better option. You don't even need to kill with the first attack, depending on the team composition you're going to run. So I think that would be a good option, and I could try to pivot to that kind of setup and let you guys know after I tested it. But I think it would yield better results overall for me, since really she's not killing anyone with the first attack for some reason. So yeah. But yeah, the other option, if you don't have your Yuri at Rainbow 5, would be a Sela. I would say go with a Sela with crit damage slot 4 and physical pierce slot 5, just to have those additional resistances at the start of the battle that will let you get to the first special move. That's your goal, and that should be enough to achieve it. Since we don't really care about the 4-piece effect of Rihanna, I would say Sela kind of makes sense. The other option would be go with Rihanna but run resistances main stat. I wouldn't recommend that as an option. I think Sela with offensive stats is better than Rihanna with resistances. So yeah, kind of up to you, but I would say try the Sela first if you don't have a Rainbow 5, and then you can see if it works or not. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the ignition weapon. For the rapport, is going to be super quick. You just need level 4. Level 6 is just for later on, just for the archive additional accuracy. You don't really care. But as we said before, accuracy is not a problem. You just need the exclusive achievement to plus 30. So yeah, you can stop at level 4 and you will be totally fine. Then for revolution, this is tricky as well. I will say, well, let me just change the tab and go here. Yes. Okay, so accuracy again is not really needed, to be honest. So here in the tab is if needed, but chances are you really don't need to put any points in here. I dumped like 10 before, but it doesn't really make any sense. Just keep it at 0, you'll be totally fine. Effect hit doesn't really matter. She has some CC, but she has no debuffs or anything like that. And the special move is guaranteed to land anyway. I don't know. I don't really think you will need any kind of effect hit, but you do you. If you really want to, just as a last thing, you can dump some points there. Lifesteal, you could put some point in here as well. I wouldn't, because Exudia Achievement already has lifesteal in it, and she already has lifesteal and heals in her kit, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. So the first 3 nodes are just 0, 0, 0 if you want to. Then we have for the Revolution 4, we have Yuri becomes invincible until I choose you ends. And this is just the first hit, meaning she's going to be invincible until she lands the first attack, which is important, like in PvP. If you can make her the highest attack unit in your team, the enemy will focus her, and hopefully she will not die, like the enemy Jinsung or the enemy regular Yuri, etc, etc. She might survive. That's only if your swiftness is lower than the enemy swiftness. But yeah, whatever. Doesn't really matter. I won't talk about PvP more than this. This is just nice if you're fighting against, I don't know, a Blarode, you want to block him or whatever, or if you're fighting against a Misang or someone that dashes, you can just put Yuri in there and she will survive the first hit because she will be invincible. It's not too important, but what's important are the two subnodes that we get access to here, and those are crit damage increase and attack. I would say attack is the priority and then crit damage increase, which is always applied because our special move always crits. And those are the only two nodes I have investment in, and I think those are the only two you actually need to invest in, which is why I said she's not really that expensive, because you don't need accuracy, you don't need crit rate, you don't need anything like that if you rely on the special move to deal damage. If you also want the Rihanna portion to be a bit more effective, then you might want to go with additional crit rate so that you can get the first hit guaranteed to be a crit. Other than that, not too important, I would say. So yeah, these two nodes are the ones that I would say are mandatory. All the other ones, kind of up to you. Revolution 5 is just a 40% physical pierce on the special move, which is pretty good. And it's just going to be a plain increase in damage. Really, really good. I already talked about crit rate, so it doesn't really matter. For Revolution 6 is only needed again in PvP for the additional attack increase to kind of bait the enemy that targets the highest attack unit. And then here we have one useful subnode, which is bonus elimination energy. But I will say that bonus elimination energy is a good thing to invest on, but it's only if you don't have really good teammates for her. If your team can already provide enough energy, you won't really need this one. And if you cannot kill with the first Rihanna hit, you don't really need bonus elimination energy. It is cool if, like in PvP, is definitely nice. And I would say if you are building her for PvP, you might as well take this node. If you just build for PvE and adventure, I would just say you don't need to. You just need to build a better team around her, and that's about it. You don't really need the additional energy after the first kill, and you don't need it to keep chaining special moves. The cooldown reduction doesn't matter at all, so the only one would be bonus elimination energy, but that's kind of up to you. If you don't need to unlock this one, she's really, really cheap. You just need Revolution 5 and then the two sub-nodes for Revolution 4. Super cheap compared to also other SSR Plus options. So yeah, that's kind of the investment that you need on this unit. Now we can just go over and look at some clears that I did a few days ago, actually, well, probably a couple of weeks. So we can have a look here, because I don't really use her much, but I wanted to try her in some different compositions. Now I will say the best units to use her with are going to be Hiwayon for sure, but if she has Revolution 5, you really need that Revolution 5 for Child Yuri. Another good one kind of is Garam, but I also don't like the fact that Garam stuns the enemies for so long and just prevents them from attacking Child Yuri. We're going to see that in these replays, and then we're also going to talk about the other units, but I can already tell you are going to be the new Anak, and Yura is also a good option early on if you don't really have any better ones. And another good option could be Nare, but she's not that great. I mean, she works perfectly fine, she's amazing, but out of all the options, she's probably the worst one, if I can say that. So let's just have a look here at how this fight played out, but you will see that Garam kind of stunned the enemies a bit too much. The issue with Anniversary Iwa is also that she has a knockback, so most of the times she will just not hit anyone. You see here the AoE on Child Yuri is a bit small on the special move. I added a Karaka in the hope that he could kind of group enemies up, but didn't really work that well most of the times. And yeah, You can see just how regular Yuri is there, is taking punches. In that instance, she took a lot of damage, so she could kill a few enemies. Now she keeps on killing because we have an enemy Yura that keeps on reviving the enemy team. But overall, the damage is there. The survivability with Anniversary Iwa alone is super amazing. So yeah, the only thing is that this team moves enemies around a bit too much. Karaka in this case was okay, could keep them close to regular Yuri, but some other times it's just going to remove them from the aggro. Like it's going to aggro them out of Child Yuri. That's why I basically never used him again with her. I think in the next clears we won't have him. And Garam was stunning the enemies so that they couldn't attack regular Yuri and stack more damage on the special move. So it was a bit countering themselves. But here we have a more simpler structure. We see just an Anak, a regular Yuri, and a Garam. Again, Garam probably not the best pick. I could have used an array instead of her, sure, or just Anniversary Iwa, but then it would have been too broken and too expensive for most people. This composition is pretty cheap. You just need a knack, to be honest, and then you can add an array for the extra energy to chain the special moves. And yeah, that's kind of the plan. You can see already that she has way more energy than she actually needs, and she can chain the special moves super easily. And since she's basically the only one close range there, so she's just sitting there and taking damage, chaining all the special moves. In this case, Anak is already dead, so that's even better actually at times, because there won't be enemies that are going to attack Anak instead of regular Yuri. You really want the enemies to focus on regular Yuri. And yeah, here the fight was won by Garam. Okay, a bit sad, because she's really too squishy without any unit that can provide her with invincibility. So this fight was a bit weird. And also we saw Garam stunning the enemies, and the enemies not attacking regular Yuri, which is not something you want to see normally. Now let's see if the fight right after, because I think I used the same team, went a bit better, or if Garam had to kill the enemies again. I don't remember. I hope this one went a bit more that's better to show her potential, but I fear this is going to be the same. We'll see. So again here, the AoE on the special move is only hitting one enemy, not much. Anak is already dead. Everyone is focusing on Yuri, which is good. This is something you want to see, but unfortunately, again, we have Garam stunning, so she couldn't really deal a ton of damage. And I think this is going to end exactly the same as the other one. Kind of. Let's see. Yuri is dead. Again, exactly the same. Really nuts. So yeah, okay. I don't know why it always ends like this, but okay, it's fine. And then let me see. Or did I show the same fight? I don't think so. Let me just check the... Yeah, okay, it was a different one because we had Gustang in the other one. So yeah, weird. Okay. And in this one is again a similar fight as the one before, with this kind of anti-synergy in the team. And yeah, as I said before, I would say instead of Garam, I would run an array, and Anak is just fine. I don't know why my Anak is so squishy, to be honest. She should be way more tanky than that, but that's okay. And if you have Anniversary Iwa Revolution 5, you just need Anniversary Iwa Revolution 5, and your child Yuri will be a beast. You can then pair your regular Yuri with whoever you want. It's better if you go with ranged units, because again, you don't really want other people to take the aggro. You want all enemies on your regular Yuri. So yeah, if you can do that, that's the best thing. And that's about it also for this clear. So I would say, guys, that's pretty much all on this unit. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. If you like the video, drop a like and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!